The ancient Roman philosopher and lawyer Cicero was renowned for his rhetorical skills, the art of using speech effectively to be able to influence listeners. Well, his brother asked him at one time, "Words, words, words. Is there no end of tricks you can make them perform?" So what do we do with words? Now, Scripture has much to say about the tongue, how we can build up or damage relationships by our words. Words can be life-giving or deadening. Proverbs 15 says, "The soothing tongue is a tree of life, but a perverse tongue crushes the spirit." The Apostle James talks about the tongue as a fire or a rudder of a huge ship. It has huge potential influence to either build up or to destroy. And then when we communicate with someone from another culture, all of this talk and this talk about talk becomes much more challenging. We miscommunicate so much easier. We may want to soothe and give life, but what we said may have come across as crushing. Maybe we wanted to encourage someone, but the person misunderstood us and actually was discouraged by what we said. And so without realizing it, we communicate something we did not want to communicate at all. The best way to compare communication styles, specifically between individualist and communal cultures, is to talk about direct speech in contrast to indirect speech. Individualist cultures would be much more direct speech cultures, while communal cultures, generally speaking, would be more indirect speech cultures. In individualist cultures, people like to think that they're independent from each other. And so it's okay to be different. Though, of course, we could argue that you've got the pressure from peers and so forth, but everybody is in their own individual context in an individualist culture. This means that they don't easily know what's going on in the other person's mind. And so it is expected that everyone will simply speak their own mind to make it verbally clear and to be explicit. You have to depend on the spoken word much more than on the context or situation around you. And so a major point of communication in individualist cultures is to give and receive information. Now, people living in communal cultures are more closely related to each other in their social context. So whether you're a guest or a host, or you're a teacher, or you're a student and you now need to ask a question, or you're talking with your neighbor or with a politician. So each of these is a different situation. And so you adjust your speech according to the context. And so people will then imply or suggest things rather than simply state their minds. A person doesn't have to speak their mind because others in that specific group intuitively understand what's going on in the speaker's mind. At least that's what everyone assumes because they're all supposedly in the same context. And so because they're in a specific social group, they then depend on that specific situation rather than on the spoken word. And so a major point of the communication in that social context is to develop and improve the social relationships, to build up the atmosphere and make it feel good. They use words to build each other up. Now, of course, this is not a black and white description between these two different styles of speech. Cultures are direct or indirect by degrees, but it's helpful to use these descriptions and categories to help us understand how we ourselves use words and then how we understand others as they use words differently than we might be used to. Do this short activity now and then we'll come back again.